All right, now let's solve more examples on the radical equations. In fact, there are a lot of students who still have problems when it comes to radical equations. I've seen most students make petty mistakes when they are solving these kinds of examples, especially when I was marking some scripts of students. I realized that they were a lot of mistakes that most students committed when they were answering them. So we are going to use this example to address those petty mistakes most students make. Now, so this is what a radical equation sets involving what equation or equations involving radical symbols. So first of all, we are asked to solve square root of 6 minus x minus square root of x minus 2 equal to 2. So for this example, when you are given such example, what you do is I've realized that because students were taught that when they see equations involving radical symbols or sets, they should take square roots of both sides. Because of that, when they see, they quickly square each term. Yes, so you will see students squaring this, and then they square this, which is very wrong. Yes, we are not saying square each term. We are saying what? Square both sides. So if you want to square, if you want to square, what you just do is you take, if you are squaring both sides, what we are trying to say is that you take whatever at the left side, square all of them. You don't need to square each term like this, because if you look at this example, you see that the negative sign is separating them. We are not multiplying. If in other case, if here were to be multiplication, then you can say you are what? Squaring each term. All right. But the moment you see that it involves what? Addition or subtraction, then you can't square this term and square this term separately. No. What you do is you need to square the entire expression at the left side, then you square the entire what expression or value at the right side. That is what it happens. Yes. So students should be very careful when they are dealing with these radical equations. Good. So what when you see this, what you do is you can go ahead and square what? The whole of this term and square the whole of this, because this equal sign is separating them. But to make the work easier, because if you try to square the entire one, though you can work your way out and get your answer, but it will be very tedious. So to make it easier for you, when you have it like this, you need to group like terms. It's either you keep one, yes, you keep one of the expressions in the radical sign standing alone at the left side or right side, and send the other one to the other side. So we can maintain this here and send this to this side, or we can maintain this here and send this to this side. Yes, that will make the work easier. So when we have such example, what we do is so let me write my solution. Great. So what we are going to do is we are going to maintain this, the square root of 6 minus x, which is equal to 2 is there already, because I'm sending this to the other side. Here is negative, so it comes here, it becomes what? Positive. So my x minus 2. Good. So once you send one of them to the other side, then you can go ahead and take square of both sides. So you square both sides. So look at how I'm going to square both sides. So this, now I said it again, because it is addition which is separating them. I've already said that when you see that is addition or subtraction separating them, you don't need to square this alone, this alone. No, you need to square the entire what expression. So you put them in bracket like this, then you square. It means that this square is going to affect all of them. Have you gotten that? Great. So when you have this, then you can go ahead. Now, because we are squaring this, remember that once we have this square root and the square here, we can cross this out. Then we have what? 6 minus x. Right. So when you have it like this, it becomes what? Very, very simple. You only what? Square this and then it clears off. Now let's come to the right side. That is where most students also, when they get to this point, they make a lot of mistakes. After some people or some students will be able to do it this way, they will be able to put the entire expression in one bracket and square it. But in the course of squaring it, they make a lot of mistakes. You will then see students squaring 2 to get 4. Then they will square this and then clear this. So in the case, it is going to be 4 plus x minus 2, which is what? Very wrong. When you see this, now let's remember this. If I give you this, or let me write it here. If I give you 2 squared, what does it mean? It means 2 multiplying itself. How many times? 2 times. So it is going to be 2 times 2. Have you gotten that? Good. The same way, if I give you this 1 plus x all squared, you see it is in a bracket, squared. It means I'm going to multiply the whole 1 plus x by itself again. That is what it means. All right, good. So we have similar case here. It means I'm going to multiply this by itself, the whole thing again. Remember, this is not difference of 2 squares, because you can't say it is difference of 2 squares. Have you gotten that? Good. So when you see this, that is what it means. All right. So you need to take your time. And once you get to this point, remember what we did in algebraic expression. When we were in JHS, we did algebraic expression. That means you are going to expand the bracket. You are going to multiply this term by the entire hot terms. After that, you take the whole of this and multiply also by the entire hot term. All right. So in this case, let me write my 6 minus x, which is equal to. So this 2 is going to multiply this, which will give me what? So in this case, it is going to be, so I'm going to take these two. This 2 is going to multiply the entire what? Expression, which is 2 plus square root of x minus 2. Good. That means this 2 is going to multiply the whole of this. Then this also, the square root of x minus 2 is also going to multiply the entire thing. Remember what we did in the algebraic expression? You take the first term, multiplies by what? The entire term. You take the second term, multiply by the entire term. So that is what we are doing. All right, great, very simple. All right, so it means that we are going to multiply this by this, this by this. So as for here, we maintain it as it is. So 2 times 2 gives me 4. 2 times this gives me what? 2 root x minus 2. All right, great. Then this times this also gives me what? 2 root x minus 2. Then this whole thing is going to multiply this. All right. Now remember once again what we did. If I give you this, remember the basic principles we did and said, if I give you a square root of a times another square root of a. Remember what we did when we were learning the basic principles. It means that when they are the same, our answer will just be what? A. Have you gotten that? Because this is going to what? Multiply this, which will clear what? This. Because at the end of the day, you are going to get a squared. The squared will cancel what? The square root, leaving a. So looking at this example here, square root of x minus 2 is not the same as this. So once it is the same, then we are going to get x minus 2. So it means the square root will go. Have you gotten the point? Great. So that is how we move. Now let's still write our 6 minus x, which is equal to, so let me maintain this, 4. Now here we are adding because this and that are the same, so we can add this and that. Okay, good. So 2 plus 2 gives me what? 4. Then we have square root of x minus 2. Then I can bring my x minus 2. All right, great. Now let's move on. So once we have this, we can group like terms. We can decide to send all this here and leave the one with the radical sign at the other side. So I can write my 6. Then I have 2 here. So when it comes here, I will bring my 4. I have 2 here. When it comes here, it becomes what? 2. And then I'll bring my x, negative x. And I have another x here, so it becomes negative x again, which is equal to 4 x minus 2. All right, great. So let's see. So this becomes what? My 4. Then we have negative 2x, which is equal to 4 root x minus 2. All right. All right. So now, once we have 4 here, I think we can factor 2 out like this. Then we have 2 minus x, which is equal to 4 root x minus 2. Then we can divide both sides by 2, so that this one will go. Then we can have our 2 minus x, which is equal to 2 root x minus 2. All right, good. Now once we have this, we still want to clear the radical sign because the radical sign is still there. So what we do is we square both sides again like this. Have you gotten that? So you see that we still have this. Okay, now this time I'm not going to use what we did here. I'm not going to use the double. We can use that, but I'm not going to use that one. We are going to use a short form. One trick that we can use, instead of going through all this process, we have a short way we can do that. So once we have it here, I'm going to use that short form to do this. Okay, so when it happens like this, what you do is first square the first term, then square the last term, which is what? Negative x. So I will square the last term like this. That's the short form I'm using to expand this. Okay, I said I'm not using the other one, so I'm using this. Then what must come in the middle? So let me write my plus. Then you are going to take this exponent and multiply by this at the same time, multiply by this. So it is going to be 2, these 2 times these 2, the first term, whatever you see here, you write it there, 2 times, then whatever you see here as negative x. So negative x, have you gotten that? Then plus, so let me bring my plus here. All right, great. So that is the short form. Now, this can only apply when you have square here. If it is cube, you can't do that. You can only do this when it is squared. All right, so very simple. Good. Which is equal to, now this one too is going to square the, now this time, because there is no addition or subtraction here, we can square this separately and square this separately. So at the end of the day, it is going to be 2 squared and then square root of x minus 2 all squared, like this. Have you gotten that? Good. Now let's square this. We have what? 4. And then 2 times 2 gives me what? 4. 4 times negative x gives me what? Negative 4x. Then we have what? We square negative x, which will give us what? Plus x squared, which is equal to 2 squared gives me what? 4. Then this one, if I square it, it becomes, it will go. So I'll have my x minus 2, like this. All right. Then we move on and open the bracket. So I can group like terms here. So I have my x squared. I will just change it, bring it here, minus my 4x plus 4, which is equal to, so let me open the bracket. We have 4x minus 8. Then here I can go ahead and group like terms. All right. Good. So let me group like terms. I have my x squared minus 4x. Then I have another 4x here. So I'll bring it here plus my 4. I have 8 here. So I will bring the 8 here, which is equal to 0. So I can reduce it. This one will be negative what? 8x plus 12, which is equal to 0. Okay, so this gives us what? Quadratic equation. So for quadratic equation, we can solve this using what? Factorization method. You can also use quadratic formula, or we can use completing squares. Have you gotten that? Great. So we are using factorization method. We multiply this, the coefficient of this, by the 12, which will give us 12. After that, we find two factors. When we multiply those two factors and add those two factors, so when we multiply those two factors, we must get what? The 12. When we add those two factors, we must get what? Negative 8. So I think we can get what? So x squared minus, so we can use negative 6x and negative what? 2x, because if you multiply negative 6 by negative 2, we are going to get positive 12. If we add negative 6x to negative 2x, we are going to get negative what? 8x. So that means we are right, which is equal to 0. Okay, so I can put this, this is plus 12. Let me bring my 12. So I can put this and this. All right, so I can write my x, or factor x out. You now have x minus 6. Here too I can factor 2 out, then have my x minus 6 is equal to 0. All right, good. Then I put those outside the bracket. So I have my x minus 2 and have my x minus 6, which is equal to 0. All right, great, good. So it means that I have x minus 2, which is equal to 0, or x minus 6, which is equal to 0. So my final answer, which is equal to 2, or x is equal to 6. So you ask yourself, is that our final answer? No, this is not our final answer. Now, whenever you are done, you have gotten the x equals to 2 and 6. All right, but you need to test and see whether the answer you are right, it satisfies the condition, whether the 2 satisfies the condition in the question. All right, so in the question said square root of 6x minus x, square root of 6 minus x minus square root of x minus 2 should be equal to 2. So you need to test whether the two answers you have gotten, the 2 and the 6, if you test, you are going to get the answer you get here will be the same as the 2. Yes, so when you test and you see that all the answers are giving you that, then you are good to go. Have you gotten that? Great. So we are going to test. Let's Let's test and see. Great. So we are going to test. Now these are the answers we have gotten. So we are going to test to see whether the answers satisfy this condition. All right. So we take x equals to 2. So when x is equal to 2. So what we are going to do is we are going to substitute these two for x in this equation here. Have you gotten that? Good. So I will write my 6 minus 2 minus 2 minus 2, which is equal to 2. So we have here as 4, because 6 minus 2 is 4, minus we have here as 0, which is equals to 2. Now square root of 4 gives me 2. And we know that square root of 0 is 0. So it means this one will go, and then we have 2 here. So it means the x2 satisfies the condition. Now let's test for the 6 as well and see if it also satisfies. So when x is equal to 6, okay, so I'll write my 6 minus 6 minus 6 minus 2, which is equals to 2. All right, so we have 6 minus 6 gives me 0, minus 6 minus 2 gives me 4, which is equal to 2. Now square root of 0 is 0, so that one will not come. Now we have negative. The square root of 2 gives me what? 4 gives me 2, which is equals to 2. Now you see that here is negative 2, here is positive 2. So this one is not equal. They are not equal. So since we tested for the 6 and they are not equal, then the solution is not 6. All right, you see that? So whenever you get the answers, don't end there. Don't think because you have gotten 2, 6, so that is all. No, you need to test to see whether the answers you have gotten satisfy what? The condition. So the one that satisfies is the solution. So once it is the tools, you conclude that therefore the solution is given as x is equal to 2, since it satisfies the condition. That's all. Have you gotten that? Therefore, the solution is given as x is equal to 2. So it is the 2 that satisfy. That is all. So my dear students, my dear learners, whenever you are solving such questions, you need to take your time and solve it. Take your time, go through the steps, and you definitely get the answer. All right. Okay. So see you next time. Thank you.